following is a special presentation of TV6 Sports. The countdown is on for D'Antonio Spartans, yet challenges remain coming off a year that saw the offense struggle. These Spartans are poised to chase the moment with a top 10 defense and 20 starters returning. Their moment is now. This is Countdown to Kickoff. Now, here's TV6 Sports Director Fred Heumann.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Happy football season, and welcome to another 6 Sports special. We call this one Countdown to Kickoff, as we are less than 48 hours from Michigan State's season opening game, Friday night, 7 o'clock, Spartan Stadium, with the Tulsa Golden Hurricane in town. You know, this is the 150th season of this magical thing we call college football. And by the way, I've enjoyed all 149 so far, LOL. Welcome to our show. Thanks for making time for us this evening. Hope you enjoy it. Michigan State has been practicing diligently for more than 4 weeks now in preparation for the big moment Friday night. Optimism is high, and it normally is in the preseason. Enthusiasm is sky high. There seems to be an inner resolve on this team that last year's 7-6 season was not good enough. They expect more and plan on delivering more. And as for the excitement of the opening game,
what has you guys two, I guess, the most amped up thinking about the opener on Friday?
First game of the season. We've been working for this since the bowl game, so we're going to have a lot of energy on Friday. It's just like high school, going to class, waiting until the game comes. It's going to be a little bit longer, but once that night comes, it's game time. So it'll be fun for all of us just to get that environment back and have all the 70,000 fans there cheering us on.
Senior season is the last time being out there, first time running out. And just want to make it a good one and enjoy every second of it that I can.
We're excited. We're excited to start the season off. It's always good to be able to, smack a different face around, not just your offense. So, we're excited and we can't wait.
Only a lineman would say that. Mark D'Antonio held his first game week press conference of the season yesterday, upbeat, positive, and ready to try and lead this team back to the promised land. And let's face it, he's led the Spartans there before. 107 wins in 12 seasons, 2 wins away from tying Duffy Daugherty as the all-time winningest coach in MSU history, and raring to go this season. Under the lights, Friday night at Spartan Stadium. Do you sense an air of excitement when they open the season on a Friday night under the lights when it seems like everybody in town's going to the game?
Yeah, I think every time you play at night, it brings back a little bit of the high school mentality that you had growing up, whether you're coaching or whether you're playing. It's just exciting, a little bit more exciting. I think that, I don't know, we're just waiting. I just got a countdown clock in the locker room, we're waiting. It is exciting and should be very exciting for our fans as well.
Hard to believe Michigan State has been playing intercollegiate football since 1896 and never have the Spartans faced Tulsa in football. A first Friday night, the Tulsa Golden Hurricane will come into Spartan Stadium loaded for bear and looking to pull off a huge national attention-grabbing upset. MSU is ranked 18th in the country preseason. Tulsa is coached by Philip Montgomery, and it is believed he is on the hot seat, and this is 5th season. The Golden Hurricane were 8 games under 500 during his time at Tulsa so far, and Montgomery is well aware of the tradition-rich program his team will be facing Friday night, but unafraid of the big stage for his team.
We've played in big venues. We've played in front of big crowds and loud environments. So that's not going to be as completely new to us now. Obviously, we haven't done it this year, so you've got to go through the adjustments of that. But I think when you think about it from just the tradition of what they have going and the tradition over the years of the games that you've seen growing up as a kid, that part of it brings a little bit more mystique to it, if you will. But I think our guys understand that no matter the stadium or where we're playing, once we cross into those white lines, it's all about what happens on the field. It's not about the stadium, not about the crowd. It's about what we do in between those white lines and how we get it done together.
It'd be a huge upset to start the season if the Golden Hurricane could pull it off at Spartan Stadium, where Mark D'Antonio is 12-0 on home openers during his time at MSU. Up next, some candid comments from MSU quarterbacks coach Dave Warner about the tough season he had last year as offensive coordinator and how it may have made he and quarterback Brian Lewerke's relationship stronger through trying times for both. Stay with us on Countdown to Kickoff. That's next.
This game is an important game. This game is an important game. So they want to mock us all they want to mock us. I'm telling them it's not over. So they can print all that crap all they want all over their locker room. It's not over. It'll never be over here. It's just starting. Go ahead. Want to talk about Purdue a little bit?
A perfect deadpan. Don't play poker with that guy. Maybe the most important and impactful soundbite Mark D'Antonio has ever produced. 2 days after a loss to Michigan in his first year at MSU back in 2007, he put the challenge out to Michigan for the future, and he has backed up his bravado with 8 victories over the Wolverines in the next 11 years. D'Antonio also made a rather bold and uncustomary move after last season by shuffling his coaching staff, including moving Dave Warner from offensive coordinator to quarterbacks coach. Audrey Dahlgren joins us with more on the interesting dynamic between the former offensive coordinator and the starting quarterback. Right, Aud?
Absolutely. One of Warner's main jobs this year is to get Lewerke back to his sophomore form. You know, when he threw for nearly 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns. The two of them took a lot of heat last season for the offense's woes. So it's a bit ironic they're together now with Warner being Lewerke's quarterbacks coach. In a way, they've gone through it together and hope to come out shining together when it's all said and done.
He and I went through a tough year last year. I think there's something to be said for us being together now, because we both were under the gun a little bit. Now we have opportunity to sort of, get things going back in the right direction.
We haven't really, said that face to face, but I can definitely see it's kind of crossed my mind as we kind of both the guys receiving the criticism last year. And I think being able to be coached from him, he knows what I'm going through. I know what he was kind of going through. And it just helps us become better as a coach and as a player on both parts.
His confidence level's back. He's healthy, which is a big part of it. He's sort of found out again what he's capable of. So now we got to get him to go out and do that on Saturdays consistently.
He knows kind of how I need to get coached, and I know his coaching style and what he does, and I think it works very well for both of us.
Do you think then that you guys then are able to maybe, I don't know if sympathize with one another is the correct word to say it, but just because of, you said maybe you were under some pressure last year, and the pressure
there's no sympathy in football, but it's again, just it was a tough year offensively. We were a big part of it, Brian and myself. Now it's a new year, so now it's just sort of fun moving forward with the idea we're in the same room and we're going to get things going together.
There's no doubt Lewerke can be better than sophomore Brian. That's what Warner said at Michigan State's Media Day, and he followed it up by saying that's certainly what our plan is. Lewerke is healthy, his confidence is back, so really all that's left is for him to go out and prove it on the field.
Thanks, Audrey. Very candid comments from Dave Warner about what he and Lewerke went through last season, but this is a new season, and there just seems to be a chemistry on this team, at least noticeable in the preseason. We share with you now a little challenge D'Antonio issued to his team last Thursday after the Spartans' last practice before breaking training camp.
Here's the message to our football team. Every single player who's come to Michigan State since 2007 has a ring on their finger. Championship ring on their finger, with the exception of the 2016 class. So there's something to shoot for.
So there's the challenge. We'll see how the Spartans answer that challenge over the next 3 or 4 months. When we come back, a chat with Michigan State defensive back Josiah Scott, who studies game film like a fiend, and his family has aided the process and helped make him a better player. Audrey Dahlgren shares his story up next on Countdown to Kickoff.
You're sitting in one of the 70-some thousand seats that will be filled for this game. Do you remember at Ohio State when you were there what it was like coming in here to play?
Yeah, I do. I remember this place was a unbelievable atmosphere. They sit right on top of you here. It's extremely loud. I hope our fans get into it. It's the first game of the year. This is a great atmosphere. This is one of the special atmospheres, I think, in college football. 51 straight seasons we've been here and played in front of tremendous crowds. So it'll remain the same.
whether Mark D'Antonio is here or not, you know, it's going to remain the same. This place has great tradition, past, and it'll have a great future as well.
Also has great pressure, but that's part of your challenge too. That's part of what you wanted about this, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, pressure is being a reporter for Channel 6. You know, pressure is what you put on yourself, and I think there's pressure in every aspect.
No pressure here, Mark, from our first preseason football special of the Mark D'Antonio era up in the stadium box seats a few days prior to the first game he coached here. The Spartans went on to beat Bowling Green in that opener 55-18 and finished D'Antonio's first season 7-6. D'Antonio's attempts to recruit players who have great character and great leadership qualities. No better example of that than the young man in the Spartan defensive secondary who our Audrey Dahlgren sat down with. Hi again, Aud.
Back when Darquez Dennard won the Jim Thorpe Award in 2013, Josiah Scott was a freshman at Fairfield High School in Ohio and already mesmerized by MSU's coveted no-fly zone, which Dennard helped create. It's one of the main reasons he wanted to come and play for Mark D'Antonio, to play for a defense that wants to show the world average doesn't exist. It's a mindset Scott knows all about thanks to his family, who is constantly challenging him to see it before it happens.
He's got a little bit of time with a big arm. It's intercepted. Intercepted at the 5-yard line. Josiah Scott read it all the way.
The moment Josiah Scott slips on his number 22 jersey, he's no longer practicing or playing the game of football for himself.
Well, I tell all my brothers really all the time, you know, this is just not for me. This is just for all of us. I'm able to live the dream that they wanted to, not be able to go and play Division I football. They never had the opportunity to do so. So that's why I put so much hard work and so much effort into what I do.
The youngest of 4 boys, Scott's brothers, as well as his parents, Oliver and Danielle, have always encouraged him to believe in his abilities.
I think it kind of started with me in high school because I was always my biggest critic. Same with my brothers, my parents. You know, they always came to my games. They never missed a game. They've always watching film with me and just critiquing me and how I can get better and things like that. So it really started in high school, you know, just trying to get that mindset, you know, I'm the best.
Well, they're going to do a halfback pass. Pacheco is picked. Josiah Scott.
Scott has also learned how to get a leg up on his competition thanks to his family, and that's because they've challenged him to be a student of the game.
There's Scott just looking at the play. He jumps right in the passing lane, as he should. It's his own look. All he's doing is reading Pacheco's eyes.
Mark D'Antonio's defense is one that requires a corner who can excel in one-on-one pass coverage. So being able to see it before it happens is key.
A bunch of film study, that really helps because at this level, everybody's talented, everybody's on scholarship, so they're just as good as you. It's just how can you take that next step to get ahead of them. And that's a bunch of film study, being able to just study their tendencies, how they want to attack you, how they want to play, and things like that. So just being able to get that next step ahead of them, be able to anticipate what's going to happen before it happens, that really gives you the edge.
Nicknamed the Gnat by his teammates, Scott's family has certainly shaped him into a ball-hawking DB, and it was evident in the Redbox Bowl against Oregon last season.
Heavy dose of Herbert through the air. He wants Dylan Mitchell, who can't haul it in. And it's 3rd down with the coverage coming from Josiah Scott.
Scott recorded a career-high 4 pass breakups in addition to 3 tackles. And when he stepped off the field, he had a flurry of messages.
It's a funny story. After the Redbox Bowl, after we lost, I just came into the locker room. You know, I was kind of upset after the loss. But I just go to check my phone because I'll always have a bunch of messages from the family group chat, you know, how I could get better and things like that. And I didn't even know I won the Defensive Player of the Game until I got back. Nobody ever told me anything in the locker room, so I just get on my phone. My oldest brother texted me, was like, "You won the Defensive Player of the Game," and I was like, "What?" Nobody ever told me anything, and then I walk out of the locker room and I get told I won the Defensive Player of the Game. So they watch every single thing, and they're always just trying to help me just get to the next level. And so if that's just giving me tips on other receivers I'm playing against, different offenses, they just do whatever they can to help me out.
Taking what his family has taught him and applying it to the game now has him in some elite company going into the new year. Scott is just one of 46 players on the Jim Thorpe Award preseason watch list. And it's just another example of how his family helped him to see it before it happened.
Another funny story, my dad, I've been in college for probably a few months now. I come back and I go in my room, and the first thing that's on my wall is a big Jim Thorpe Award poster with the trophy on it. And so he had that up there since my freshman year. And then now it's just funny that I'm on the watch list for this year. And so really him be able to just instill that, me coming to my room every single day, seeing that a bunch of times, just trying to point me towards that direction. Like, this is what you're working for. You're just not working for, third team all Big Ten or whatever. You're working for something bigger and better. And so that's what really kind of is like driving me, seeing that every single day and just knowing that's what I'm working for.
During fall camp, D'Antonio gave Scott the ultimate compliment. He said he reminds him of Denard by how he practices, plays the game, and goes about his business. And Fred, if he can stay healthy for the entire season, he has a great shot of becoming one of the best defensive backs in all of college football in 2019.
All right, thanks, Audrey. Nice story, and what a great family produced what appears to be a very good young man. Keep your eye on number 22 this season on defense. Coming up next, Alex Sims with an enlightening yet heart-tugging story on senior cornerback Josh Butler, who at only 22 years old has overcome more in his lifetime than most. It's up next on Countdown to Kickoff. You won't want to miss it. Stay with us.
You're not like 19-year-old kids. You have this straight path about you. Is that your nature, or do you have to be that way as the leader of this program?
Well, I think that, for one, as a leader of this program, you better be able to stand there in difficult times and give people hope. So that's number one. But I think what I've always tried to do as a football coach is, maintain that the most important thing is other aspects of my life. I know people might not like to hear that, but there is another part of me, whether it's my family, my children, my faith, whatever it is, that's got to ground you. Because if you're not grounded in this business as a coach with these type of situations, I think you're going to have problems.
From our 2008 preseason show, just before the start of D'Antonio's second season at MSU, being grounded is something he was then and still is today, and it's helped make his program, for the most part, equally grounded. Now it's time to talk more about this season and this season's leaders. The new captains named a week ago, actually not all are new, 2 are holdover captains, but the 4 voted in by the teammates: Brian Lewerke, Raekwon Williams, Kenny Willekes, and Joe Bocci. Lewerke and Bocci were also captains last year, and all, of course, are thrilled to be selected and consider it the ultimate honor since it came by way of a team vote.
Feels good just to have that reception from my team. It's a good feeling.
When you're a quarterback, you're a leader naturally, but does this kind of just give the stamp of approval to it?
Yeah, I would say so. I think, being a quarterback, you're naturally in a position of leadership, just having to command everyone and tell everyone things to do and how to get the play working. So I think this would solidify that, yeah.
It means more that the guys voted me to be in this position, so it means the world that they think of me this way, and I'm going to give my best step and give my best foot forward.
What's it like being a 2-time captain?
Very humbling. Like I said to some people before, it means more to me than any Big Ten accolade, Big Ten selection, preseason thing. Being a captain is something I'll carry with me the rest of my life.
I feel everyone on this team's bought in. We're working towards a certain goal, and that's to get back to Indianapolis. And I feel everyone on this team's bought into that goal. Everyone is chasing the same thing. We're all going in the same direction. And we got a lot of leaders on this team. It's not just us 4 that were voted captain. There could have been, like I said, 15 to 20 guys that could have been voted captain. We got a lot of guys that are hungry and eager to get out on that field on Saturdays and start playing.
It's the first time in 10 years a Spartan team has had as many as 4 team captains. Our next subject isn't a captain on this team, at least not yet, but has he ever captained the handling of an unthinkable life tragedy, persevered, and is looking forward to a very productive senior season. Alex Sims joins us now for this compelling story. Alex?
At only 18 years old, Josh Butler hopped on a Greyhound bus alone and traveled 48 hours straight to East Lansing to take his unofficial visit to Michigan State. What he didn't know was that trip would be the easiest obstacle he would have to overcome. Nothing in life is promised. Nothing is guaranteed. Josh Butler not only knows that, he has lived it.
It's the Big Ten, and they're just not going to put anybody out there, and so I have to put in like a lot of extra work.
Hit. Here we go. Wing. Here we
It started off pretty slow, and then it like built up, and it's still like building.
After only 1 year, this four-star recruit from Dallas, Texas, earned his first career start.
You come out and it's like smoke, and you really can't see anything. You really can't see anything until you like get out there, and it's like a whole bunch of people just screaming.
Cedar, East Lansing, Michigan.
And it's just like, wow, we were really here, and it's just focus in now and give it my all.
But the real challenge happened to be real life.
It was the day of the Penn State game.
The top 25 matchup between Penn State and Michigan State.
I got a call from my grandfather. He was like, your dad just got picked up. He's going to the hospital. I'll let you know like what's going on.
His dad suffered a massive heart attack.
My cousin had texted me. It was like, your dad passed. And I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, there's no way. I just like bawled down the tears, and everybody around me just came around, my teammates.
It was a tough day. He wanted to play in the game. He did play in the game. When we do our walk, as we do in the stadium, as many people now know, I walked. He walked with me. He
took me aside and was like, just stay by me. And he was just saying like, this is your family. We got you. We're on your back 100% of the time, always.
But just when he thought his life couldn't get any worse, it did. First his dad, then just a year and a half later.
I lost my mom in April 28th. She was sick for a very long time with stage 4 breast cancer. I held her in my hands the entire time. It was definitely tough seeing her like that. It's my mom, and just seeing her like mellow yellow and going through a lot of hair loss and barely being able to talk, but she was a very strong woman.
But this 22-year-old orphan still had his Spartan family.
It was a negative road, and even at my lowest, it's just something in my mind is like, I got to keep pushing. Like, it's just a mindset thing. You might hurt physically, you might hurt mentally, but you just have to keep pushing.
You're gonna be alright. That stress, that pain you're going through, it don't last.
And everything was going to be all right.
I've been playing very well on the field.
Another deep shot. This one's on the money. And then it's knocked away at the last second by Josh Butler. Unbelievable play by Butler.
I have my puppies, they're very lovely. I have them with me, and especially like going through all that, I was still able to earn and go graduate and go pursue a master's degree, and I'll be getting that in December.
Josh will leave Michigan State with a degree in communications. What he really takes with him, though, is a lesson in life.
It took me a long time to understand, but eventually you accept that it's a part of life. Everybody has to live, everybody has to die. That it's the things that they've instilled in me that I carry with me for the rest of my life.
And as Josh mentioned earlier, he'll leave Michigan State with an undergraduate and master's degree in media and information. His master's he'll earn in December of this year. Fred?
All right, anybody out there think football doesn't build character? Thanks, Alex, for sharing that. What a remarkable young man and a remarkable story. When we come back, we'll lighten things up a little bit and visit with longtime Lansing native Mark Ditzworth, who is proud of his Lansing roots and equally proud of his time playing football for the Golden Hurricane of Tulsa. We'll reminisce with Ditz up next on Countdown to Kickoff. Middle Tennessee State, and Michigan was made famous the revenge tour last season, so I don't think this year's Michigan State team would care to coin that phrase, but the fact is, after going 7-6 last year, the Spartans to a man vow to strive for more in 2019, and no question they feel this is sort of a, well, let's call it a redemption tour.
I'm just excited for us. We've got a lot to prove. Obviously, we fell short of our goals last year, and we just want to do an overall better job of obviously running the football, protecting the quarterback, things like that. I mean, and everybody's had that mindset going into camp or going even through the whole offseason, spring ball, summer, and now continuing it through camp that, we just got to come out there and we got to play football and we got to do a better job.
Do you feel this team has something to prove also after last year?
Of course. We should.
What's that come from? What's that about?
7-6 just not good enough for us. We think we're much more talented than that, and we're rightfully so.
A season like that, it definitely motivates you. Going 7-6 is something you don't envision, something you don't dream. It's just something that kind of happens, almost like a nightmare season. Some just bounces don't go our way, but everyone came back and bought in, and they know that we can be a great team.
I'm sure the Tulsa players are also motivated to come in here as a 22-point underdog and prove they are no pushovers. We shall see Friday night. There's a local connection to Tulsa football, even though the enrollment there is only 3,500. We found a longtime Lansing resident who played football at Tulsa back in the day. Mark Ditzworth was a defensive back for the Golden Hurricane from 1970 to 1975 after a terrific multi-sport career at Lansing Eastern High School. Ditzworth later came back to be the head coach at his high school alma mater, Lansing Eastern, in the mid-90s. But 20 years before that, he was a defensive back for Tulsa. Ditz, as he's known to friends around here, is a notable baseball umpire. He has worked in the College World Series 3 times and still umpires men's City League games at Municipal Park. Ditz was a quarterback in high school, was moved to defensive back at Tulsa, and you bet he wanted to be a Spartan, but that didn't work out.
Michigan State recruited me early. Sherm Lewis is my head recruiter, and it just didn't work out, and I had a couple other offers, and that was a good fit for me. University of Tulsa was a great fit. Beautiful town, a lot of great people down there.
Well, you're a Lansing guy, but you got to be rooting for Tulsa Friday night, right?
Absolutely. I root for them all the time. I stayed in close contact my first 5 years out. Some of the guys that went on to the NFL, they played the Lions, I'd meet up with them. Matter of fact, my former roommate, Steve King, was playing the Lions. It was 43 years ago, and defensive coordinator was Hank Bulla.
Is that right?
For the Patriots, yes.
Ditz has some of his old teammates and coaches from Tulsa and Lansing tonight. A little storytelling, a few stories, several lies, and they will all attend the game tomorrow, Friday night. He will even meet an assistant coach this week. He had at Tulsa. He's still on staff. He's 92 years old. Up next, we go one-on-one with the MSU coach, Mark D'Antonio. Stay with us on Countdown to Kickoff.
Go right through for MSU. Watch the points keep growing. Fight, 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 team, fight.
All right, the gentleman you saw soloing the MSU fight song was, of course, the late, great Duffy Daugherty, Spartan coach from 1954 to 1972, and the all-time winningest coach in MSU history. Though with 3 more victories, Mark D'Antonio will pass Duffy as the Spartans' all-time winningest coach. Coach D has a very busy, hectic week, but was good enough for the 13th year in a row to make time for a one-on-one conversation about the upcoming season with us. And we divided it into 2 parts. Here's part 1. 13 years we've been sitting down before the season. Time flies when you're having fun, huh?
Oh, yeah, time flies.
I sense, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but an air of confidence that you've had about this team throughout the summer, throughout camp, and leading into game week.
Yeah, I think because, and I sort of feel like that because I know they're going to do their best. And that's what I've always asked for our players to do. I know that they're confident, that they've had success. There's good leadership. Even on the offensive side of the ball, we've got Lewerke, who's back. He's healthy. He's had a lot of success as a sophomore. And there's a certain component to our football team where, as I said out there, they've built into each other, and they've embraced each other, and I think there's power in that.
Where did Chase the Moment come from?
You know, actually, I read a book called Chase the Lion, and so I wanted Chase in there and as part of it. But there's been so many moments around here that have really been great moments, life moments, whether it's a Rose Bowl or whatever it is. And I think that's what we're chasing. I think we're chasing that not only for ourselves, but for our fans as well, and put ourselves back in those situations where we're competing for a championship.
What's it like to be a head football coach of a program in a passionate football state like this? And the mood of the campus, in some cases the mood of the state, is based on how you do for 4 hours on a Saturday afternoon or a Friday night.
Well, it means it's important. I'll give you that, you know, but I think that it's exciting because you know you're at a place where football is important. Athletics, basketball, athletics in general is very important to our Michigan State community, as it is to a lot of places around the country. They come with us, and that's exciting, and they'll come with us Friday night. You know, whether they're watching at home or whether they're here involved in the stadium, they'll come with us. And I think there's a lot to that. That's a big responsibility that not just I carry, but our coaches carry and our players carry as well. So we want to make sure that what we do is we play with great effort, we play with great toughness, and we know what to do. And those are the first three things I talked about when I got the job. And I think in November of 2006, those are the same things that we talk about.
Give me a place to stand and I can move the world. At Michigan State University, you have that place to stand. I can stand before you today and acknowledge that you know, I have a place to stand. I stand where great coaches have been.
What's it like to be a caretaker and basically a parent for 120 young men?
It can be daunting at times, I guess you'd say, but yeah, they keep you young, just like a parent with young kids. You know, they keep you young, and there's a lot of responsibility, I guess, that goes along with that, but there's a lot of, I don't know how I'd say it, but it's a humbling experience as well, because you know, you're making the decision where we go, when we go, how we go, a large part of their life, not all of it. But, you know, when we have them for that 20 hours a week, or when they're involved in our building for academics or other areas, you know, you're making those decisions, trying to shape their lives. And I think at the end of the day, I think that's what coaches do. They shape lives. It's not just X's and O's. You know, you're watching people grow from an 18-year-old guy who got all the answers when they come in to 22 years old and are pretty insightful when they leave. And that's what keeps you going, I think.
And who would have ever thought back in November of 2006 that he would be this successful? It was a home run hire by Michigan State in every sense of the word. When we come back, guess what? Part 2 will address why the frustrations and challenges are all worth it for a coach who doesn't need the money, and in this man's case, doesn't need the bouquets that come with the job. But he continues and still gets very excited about opening game week. That's up next on Countdown to Kickoff.
We used to dominate with Duffy. And then we had one bad break. They hired him in 1969, and those tough kids we used to get, now we're going to him, and that's why we got our butts beat.
All of a sudden, they hired George. So I came into the staff meeting. I told the staff, I said, I want you guys to know one thing. The party's over. I mean, we gotta recruit, because this guy is a hard recruiter.
My first game back here, we met in the middle of the field, and I said, Bo, I'm a little nervous. He said, you ought to be.
You didn't say that, did you, Bo? He says I did. I don't remember doing it.
You hated losing to him, didn't you?
Oh, God. In this state, it's like the world's come to an end.
Man, do I miss him. A classic clip I found just a couple hours ago, and I added it to the show from the Six Sports Vault, the late Bo Schembechler and George Perlis several years ago. They were bitter rivals when they coached, became great friends after coaching. And our best to George, who is in a local rehab center dealing with issues from Parkinson's disease, all the best to him. Fast forward to the present and the current MSU coach, part 2 now of my one-on-one conversation with Mark D'Antonio, starting with every coach's worst nightmare. When did you stop saying your nightly prayer, turning the light off and going to bed, not worrying about if the phone would ring? Or does that ever stop?
No, that really never stops.
Really?
You know, but I think trust is a big component here, and you know, I do trust our players, and I sleep well at night. But I think there's always In this job, there is no point in time where you're going to say, put the job on the shelf over here and not think about it. It just doesn't happen. Even on vacation, you're taking a call or you're doing something like that. You need to have an understanding wife and children, because it's going to sort of take over a lot of things. But with it comes a lot of excitement and anxiety and excitement, but with it also comes a lot of responsibility.
When you came here 13 years ago, did you and Becky see this as a destination, as a, I don't know when you're going to retire, but I don't think you're taking another job. You're a coaching lifer here now.
Yeah, we did.
You did?
Yeah, I did. I saw this as a place that we could come and be, and our children could either go to school here or not. But I saw this as a place where you could come and stay and build it. With the help of a lot of people, that's what we've done. And with the foundation. Because there was a foundation here laid long before we came.
Yeah, but you had to reinforce that, didn't you?
Well, everybody's got to reinforce the foundation in their house sooner or later. So, it gets a little bit old, and you got to build it back up.
You said something significant at your Monday press conference. You said, it's not about last year's injuries or struggles. This is a new season. It starts now. You believe that firmly, don't you?
Totally believe that, because every year is different. You can be 7-6 and be 13-1 the next year, and 12-2 one year, and end up 3-9 the next year. Now, how does that happen? There's a lot that goes into it both ways. So you have to guard against it, guard against complacency, and guard against saying, okay, just because that guy played good this year, does that mean he's going to play good again, or vice versa? You have to give people opportunities, and you have to expect high standards.
Dabo Swinney said, to be an overachiever, you have to be an overbeliever. You buy that?
Yeah, I do. Because I think that's what we've preached here from day one. You must overachieve here regardless of where you come, what level you come at. You must overachieve. And I'll even take it one step farther. To have a great year every year, as Jim Tressel would say, your seniors must have their best year. We've got a great group of seniors who've done a lot of great things. We have some preseason All-Americans, guys that were all Big Ten, all that kind of stuff. But if they have their best year, great things will happen.
You excited about the opener?
Excited about every opener that we've ever had here. It's a moment of optimism for everybody, but it's also a moment of reality. That you've got to look at it and say, okay, where are we at now? What's going on? Okay, and you've got to adapt. You've got to assess things. You've got to adjust. There's that part of it too. But I think with every opening game comes a lot of questions that at least have a chance to be answered. And then you go.
Was juggling your coaching staff a gut-wrenching move? I mean, these are friends of yours.
Yeah, it was tough, but I knew that something needed to happen, but I also felt like they're very good teachers. And I've been in their classrooms and saw how they teach. I've seen the relationships they have with their players. I've seen how they mentor. I see how they push people on the field. Football is a game of repetition. You don't line up and do something one time and say, well, that'll work. It's been done 100 times or 1,000 times, and then you've got to do it on game day. And so that repetition has to become execution. And if there's execution, that's when you win.
When you're standing in that tunnel with your team 10 minutes before the game, the hay's in the barn. You're not game planning. What are you thinking about?
The next play.
Are you really?
The next moment, the next challenge. Okay, don't fall down running out on the field. So I'm just excited for our players, and excited for our fans, and excited for our student athletes who'll be making that tunnel as they come out. The student athletes from other sports, and it's just another new time.
Well, good luck this season. Good luck Friday night, and don't fall in that tunnel.
Yep. Go Green. See you there.
All right, we thank Mark D'Antonio for his time. That's our show tonight. I appreciate you watching, and more on the Spartans tonight at 11. So many thanks to Audrey Dahlgren, Alex Sims, and members of my staff, and so many people around here too numerous to thank. Most of all, thanks for you for watching. Enjoy your football season. We'll see you tonight at 11. Thanks for looking in, everybody. Have a great year.
6 Sports Countdown to Kickoff has been sponsored by SBS, the student bookstore, home of the Green and White Shop, Trips Auto Shop Collision Center and Trips Ceramic Pro, Window World of Lansing, Young Chevrolet, Owasso, St. John's, Ionia, MichiganConstruction.com, Dart Bank, 1-800-HANSON's, and by Joe's Body Shop in Perry. This has been an exclusive presentation of WLNS TV6 Sports.